Hey everyone, welcome to GoLocal Live in the Navigate Credit Union Broadcast Center. I am Molly O'Brien. Welcome back to this Monday afternoon. It's 3 o'clock, and we're going to have a pretty fun show today. We're talking about TV, what to stream. We're also going to talk about some great music happening here in Rhode Island, and we're going to get you back on track for those running goals in 2018. So let's kick off the show by saying hello and welcome to Managing Editor Alex Zalbin. He is with Decider.com. Alex, hello, and how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on. It's always a pleasure to chat.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to chat with you. I love talking about TV. I love talking about streaming shows, and always a pleasure to be speaking with you because you always know what's up and what's happening.
Oh boy, that's a lot of pressure, Molly.
It is a lot of pressure, but it's good pressure, right? All right, so
Exactly.
We're going to start off by talking about something major that happened last night, and so I want to give a spoiler alert, big. If you need to do this, now's a good time to do it, Alex.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay. Major spoiler alert to Walking Dead fans. So something big happened last night. Talk about what happened on Walking Dead and then really the implications of this.
Yeah, sure. So one of the original characters, one of the few remaining original characters at this point, before last night's episode, there were only 4 characters that had survived for 8 seasons. Now there's 3. Chandler Riggs, who plays Carl, has left the show. You know, we knew this was coming. We found out that he got bit by a zombie at the mid-season finale back in December. But they had a whole episode devoted to it last night where he said goodbye to his dad. He said goodbye to his de facto mom, Michonne, who's played by Black Panther's Danae Guerrera. There was a couple of other things that went down in the episode, but that was the big focus. And it was surprisingly emotional. You know, there's been a lot of gunplay, a lot of violence over the past half a season. But this really delved down into the characters. And the point of it was to have Carl, who is this character, the main character, Rick's son, really tried to get a sense of hope in him, surprisingly, given the circumstances and given the death. Basically saying, listen, don't let my death be in vain. I have this vision of the future where we're all living in peace and we make the world better. Fight for my vision, Dad. So it actually ended up being really emotionally affecting and a good episode, and it's going to propel the series through the next half season.
Wow, that's pretty impressive, especially for a show that is, I mean, there's only so much you can do, and I think there's been some criticism about that, where how long is this really going to last, and then they have the spin-off, and so being able to take something and make it meaningful and then have fans continue to watch, I think that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of prep for this episode, honestly, just because I just started here at the job of the Decider, and we were putting together a lot of things to get ready for the episode. And I looked back, and I was actually surprised how many episodes have been really excellent of The Walking Dead. I wouldn't say it gets an unfair rap, because there's a lot of episodes that have been not so good. But there's a lot of really wonderful things that do happen on the show sometimes. And to your point, this was one of those episodes where they really brought it out and really pushed hard on the characters. And we'll see what happens, but I'm very excited to see what's going to happen over the next half a season.
So for fans, super fans, I think it's, what do you think super fans will take away from this? Are they going to be disappointed because they lost one of the originals, or do you think they did such a good job that they'll be okay with the takeaway?
I think they'll be okay. There are people who really love Chandler Riggs, and clearly he's been there since the beginning. He started when he was 10 years old, so it's kind of amazing to have watched him grow up on screen for the past 8 years. But he went out on a really high note. He did an incredible job with acting, and we actually have a piece that should be going up soon on Decider where I wrapped up all the things, all the projects that he's working on. So we're not totally done with him yet, and there's a little bit of a guess that I have that we may actually not be totally done with him on The Walking Dead either, that we may see a little bit of Carl before the season is over.
Okay, that's good. I think we'll leave it at that. So hopefully the spoiler alert isn't too much for you, and hopefully give you a little bit of a preview of what's to come next. All right, let's talk a little bit about, the reason why I wanted to chat with you is because, one, I love the Olympics, but the Olympics are over. So because we had this major event, It's like all these networks really just took a hiatus from their regular programming, and they just put their regular programming on a back burner and said, well, the Olympics are on, let's just take a break. So now that the Olympics are over, we're really starting to see a pickup of either regular fall programming return or new programming kicking back up into gear. So we really wanted to talk to you about what's coming up, what's coming out on regular network shows, on streaming services, whether something's returning or new stuff is coming back up. So wanted to get in touch with you and find out what's worth our time and when things are going to be hitting the airwaves or the streaming services.
Sure. There is a lot of stuff coming up. I was actually looking at my DVR schedule last night, and it was pretty much empty before this for the past couple of weeks, and now suddenly it's like conflict, resolve this conflict. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of new shows, actually, as you mentioned, that are worth your time. One of my favorite new shows is premiering tonight at 10 p.m. on NBC. It's called Good Girls. It stars Christina Hendricks, who you probably know from Mad Men, Mae Whitman, who you might know from Parenthood and a million other things, and Retta, who you probably know best from Parks and Rec. And the way people are pitching it is like Breaking Bad, but with women, and that's kind of fair, but it's much funnier and weirder and more heartfelt in a specific way. Basically, they are down on their luck. They need a little bit of money, so they decide to rob the grocery store that Mae Whitman's character works at, and things spiral out of control from there. I've seen the first couple of episodes, and it's well worth your time. There's parts, particularly Retta is wonderful, and she did some stuff in the pilot in the second episode that really brought tears to my eyes. It's great. It jumps between tones a lot, but it earns it, and it's very good. Another show that's on tonight, right before that on the CW, iZombie is back. If you don't watch Walking Dead, you could probably check this out anyway. It's a zombie show, but a little funnier and a little quirkier. It changes dramatically this season, is what I'll say. It's basically been about a zombie, an intelligent zombie who teams up with cops to solve mysteries. But what happened at the end of the last season is the rest of the world found out that zombies are real and living in Seattle. So again, I've seen the first couple of episodes of the season. It's very different from what it was before. But this is a great time to jump on board because it's a new world that's dealing with not a zombie invasion, but zombies who are kind of just like you and me, except they crave brains. So it's a different sort of show, but it's still retained the humor and it's retained a lot of the heart and the characters. So if you're looking for something new, you can definitely check that out, even if you haven't seen it before. And this is a very busy night for TV, I got to tell you. Unreal is back on Lifetime at 10 p.m. This is a show, it started out from one of the producers of The Bachelor. She's never specifically acknowledged it this way, but it is basically a slightly fictionalized version of what happens behind the scenes on The Bachelor, and it's as horrifying as you'd imagine it would be. The first season was fantastic. The second season was not so great, but I haven't had a chance to watch the episodes yet, but I've talked to a couple of folks here at Decider who have, and they say that it's right back on pace. So if you're a fan of The Bachelor or Bachelorette and want to find out what it's really like, this is a great show to check out. Looking a little further down the week, because that's already a lot of stuff for tonight. Yeah, on Wednesday, premiering on Hulu is The Looming Tower, which is a mini-series. It talks about the days leading up to 9/11 and Osama bin Laden's plans, which is as serious and as tense as you'd imagine it be, but it stars Alec Baldwin and Peter Sarsgaard and Michael Stolberg and Bill Camp, who you might recognize from The Night Of, and Jeff Daniels. And I've talked to a couple of my writers here, and it's supposed to be great. So I really recommend it. Hulu has been on a high since The Handmaid's Tale, so this is a good time to kind of sign up for a subscription if you don't have one already. And then on Thursday, another busy night, Atlanta, Donald Glover's comedy is back on FX at 10 p.m. The second season is phenomenal. Have you ever watched Atlanta?
I have not yet, and it's on my list that I need to jump into it, yeah.
It's a little hard to describe, other than it's kind of a comedy and kind of not, but it's very much about the city of Atlanta as much as it is about the characters. Season 2 is called Atlanta Robin Season, and doesn't so much have a plot as things happen, and you kind of just have to check it out to see what it's all about, but it's pretty brilliant and wonderful. On the I was almost say on the other edge of the spectrum, but I actually love this show. Gotham also returns at 8 p.m. on Fox. This is Fox's young Batman tale, and I think they're finally getting to it. They're teasing that he finally might actually become Batman this season, but it's ridiculous and over the top, and the villains are insane, and it's super violent, but in a very cartoony way. So if you're looking for a superhero show that is not exactly a superhero show so much as just bananas insane, you can definitely check that out.
I feel like this year Gotham, this season's a little bit better than last season. I think it got kind of off track last season, but it's just one of those fun things to watch.
Yeah, it's very over the top and it's very cartoony, but purposely so. I think at a certain point they're going for a bunch of different things and they figured out, all right, let's just kind of go for 60s Batman mixed with Danny Elfman Batman, not Danny Elfman, Tim Burton Batman, and it's great. Looking a little further down the pike, March 2nd, Once Upon a Time is going to be back on ABC for its last couple of episodes. So if you've been a fan of the series, this is your chance to say goodbye to it. I'm hoping they get their happy ending. We'll see what happens. And then there's a bunch of other premieres coming up next week. March 7th, Heathers is coming up on the Paramount Network. This is a very different take on the movie that switches the genders and a bunch of other things. Also the same day, Life Sentence is premiering on the CW. This is Lucy Hale from Pretty Little Liars in a very different role. She plays a girl who has had cancer as far as she knows for an entire life, and suddenly finds out she's cured. And then what does she do with the rest of her life? What happens? Who knows? And then March 8th, the two most anticipated releases, and then I'll let you stop talking for a second. Champions, a comedy with some of the team from Workaholics, is premiering. And then Jessica Jones, season 2, is premiering on Netflix. This is Marvel's superhero series. People loved the first season, so the second season is highly anticipated. Kristen Ritter is great in the role of a noir detective who drinks too much and fights too much and is dealing with a lot of issues of her own. So we'll just have to see if that second season matches up to the first one.
So what are we looking at for the next couple of weeks? I mean, we still have these networks that are, that are putting out shows and that kind of thing, but we're really looking at what I've seen is these streaming networks just building up such incredible programming. We're looking at Amazon, we're looking at Netflix, we're looking at Hulu, with just these champion programming. What's it like for you guys when you're discussing these shows, when you're talking about these streaming services?
Well, like you said, things have been developing crazily over the past year. I think about 2 or 3 years ago, John Landgraf, who is the head of FX Networks, he's been very into breaking down stats for TV journalists in particular, and he pioneered the idea of peak TV, the term peak TV. That was 2 or 3 years ago when he said that, and he coined the term peak TV, and then we've only added hundreds of more shows as we've gone. Speaking as a TV journalist, it is terrifying to come into work sometimes every day. We're not having anybody dying on our operating table or anything like that, but just to think, oh my God, there are 10 new shows premiering tonight. There's 20 shows premiering this week. How do we balance all of that? How do you watch all of that? And not to get too pluggy, but that's part of the reason that I'm excited to be here at Decider is that's what the site is all about. It's very focused on streaming, particularly Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon shows, but a lot of the other services as well, and breaks down for you what is actually worth your precious time. But like you said, there's a lot of it out there. One of the nice things is there's something for everybody. There's a show on Netflix that I had never heard of before I started my job here called Casa de Papel, which is a Spanish show. It's called Money Heist here in the United States. And it's huge. It's something that I don't think I've really heard anybody talk about in common conversation, but people are very excited about it internationally. They've started to pick it up here in the United States. And that's the sort of thing that you would never have found 5 years ago without a streaming service. So I think that's kind of wonderful. It's a good problem to have too much TV to watch,
Which is exactly why I like talking to you, figuring out what is worth our time, because we don't always have time, but when we do, we don't want to be flipping through the channels or scrolling through something going, I don't know what's worth it, and then you spend 20 minutes on something, you're like, this isn't good. but does it get good? I don't know. What's worth it?
Yeah.
So we want to congratulate you. You do have a new position, managing editor at Decider.com, and that's what's cool. And you kind of talked about it a little bit, helping people really dive into what is worth your time on these different types of shows and that kind of thing. So congratulations to you. Talk to us a little bit about what you're doing there.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, Decider is very focused on streaming services, but it's also broadcast as well. Like we talked about at the beginning, we've been doing a lot of coverage of Walking Dead. We had a review of Good Girls, which is on NBC, go up earlier today. So it's more about there's a lot of great writers on the staff who are writing features about these things. We're writing reviews of these things. There's also a ton of news constantly coming in just about all things TV and celebrities related to TV. But for the most part, it is what the name of the site is. It's trying to help you decide, beyond the reviews and the features and everything else, which try to push people in the right directions and give you an honest appraisal of what is good and what is not. One of my favorite features of the site is about halfway down the homepage, there's a thing called What to Watch, and it actually takes you to a separate page where you have curated editorial picks for what to watch on any given night to go up every single night of the week. They can vary from individual episodes of television to series to movies that are available on streaming. And you can read a little blurb or so about what each editor in their particular pick really likes about something, as well as you can sort them by type of show, you can sort them by streaming service, you can sort them by genre, things like that. So to your point, it's actually really, really helpful rather than just going, I go into Netflix and I'm just clicking around randomly for half an hour. Exactly, just like that. So go to the page, go to the What to Watch page, and it'll help direct you on an almost daily basis.
I know last time I talked with you, you broke it down and said The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and I said, all right, I've got a couple hours. This is what I'm doing. I watched it, and it was definitely worth my time, and I think it was worth the Academy's time as well because it racked up quite a few awards as well.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, so the Oscars are coming up this weekend. Talk to me just a little bit about, do we have access to watch any of these films, and are any of these films worth spending time getting caught up of? Can we catch them on any streaming services?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of that. So Amazon Prime, actually, we just posted an article about this on the site, is posting a ton of the nominees, particularly the Best Picture nominees. So you should be able to rent those pretty cheaply over the course of the next week. And they're all pretty good. That's one of the things that's surprising about this year's Oscars, I think, is it's really a wide open race because most of the Best Picture nominees and most of the acting nominees are really solid. Usually you have a couple of nominees that you think, I don't know why that's in there.
Yeah,
And
I don't
certainly
get it.
yeah, there's been a lot of debate, particularly about Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, I would say, because of some questionable choices in the script. But other than that, you have Get Out, that is genre defying. You have Shape of Water, same thing. Lady Bird is one of my favorite movies of the year, and it's absolutely wonderful, and all the performances are great. And many more that are just really good. I think I'd have to check this for you. I'd have to look into it a little more because I don't have all of the information at my fingertips. But I believe you can stream a couple of them on Netflix right now, but they should all be, at the very least, on Amazon Prime for rental.
That's awesome. I think it's worth getting caught up on, and we have, just under a week to do it, so why not?
Exactly. You have nothing better to do with your time. You don't have 300 TV shows to watch.
Exactly. And while looking at things on my phone and working on my computer all at the same time, right?
Exactly. And jobs, of course. Also your job, I guess.
Oh yeah, that thing.
Right.
That thing. Well, Alex, it's been such a pleasure to speak with you today. Hopefully we can check in a little bit and find out some more shows that are worth our time to watch, because there are endless, right? And I'm sure a couple more will be popping up within the meantime, right? Awesome. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today, Alex. I really appreciate it. It's been a blast. Alex Albin, managing editor at Decider.com. We are going to take a quick break. Looks like just in time. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to take a quick break as we get caught up here with our next guest on Go Local Live. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me back here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Molly O'Brien, and I'm pleased to welcome back our friend Susan Rancourt with Road Races. How are you, Susan?
Good, how are you?
Good. Thanks so much for joining me.
Happy to be back.
So, in January, we're talking about establishing running goals for 2018, so I thought I'd invite you back and just check in with everybody if you've set those goals, to see where we're at and help you kind of maintain them through 2018. So you're going to help us here today. I kind of broke it down. You have some, and so I tried to set them up into 3 ways we can maintain those running goals for 2018. So, you know, it's been a little bit over a month. What should people be thinking or feeling if they've set running goals for 2018? Where do you think people should be at right now?
I think it's a good time that we come back and we kind of address it, because now that the Olympics are all over, I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like really, like, I need to go out and I need to do something.
Yeah, either motivated or like totally just depressed, like, oh, no way. But hopefully positive, feeling like, yes, I can do this.
Right, but now the weather's getting a little better, spring is in the air, so it's really a good time. And I think the big thing to remember is that even if you haven't started on these goals, or even if you've had some stops and some starts and some setbacks, like you started and you may have gotten injured, like, don't give up. Like, now we're coming into some really good running weather, and it's never too late to start.
Perfect.
So even if you had that goal and you kind of fell off the wagon, get back on. So that's a really good thing.
Okay, so it's never too late to start. Even if you didn't have running as maybe one of your goals for 2018, maybe it can be now.
Yeah, it's all part of the process.
Okay.
And then to get started, you know, if you started and you didn't find some success, you just to recap some of the things we talked about before. Find a partner. It's always easier to get out that door if somebody else is dragging you. And I have 30 years of running experience, and my partner is like, you know, it's dragging me out or I'm dragging her out. It never hurts. Commit to a deadline, because if you do have like that end goal, it's going to help you format your plan and commit you to a program and give you something like tangible to lock onto, to see where you need to end up. And just get that plan. So if you have like a Couch to 5K type of thing, you sign up for a 5K, go Google like Couch to 5K, and it will give you things to do every day so that you're not out just like running without any sort of idea. And it's always easier to have like that little bit of a, I'm going to, you know, do this plan rather than just I'm going to go out and see how I feel.
Yeah. It's good too to have, whether you have never run before in your life or you've been a constant runner and this is something you do, but maybe you're just getting back into it. It's nice to be able to set goals, set a plan, and like we have so much technology in our life, why not use it to help you get through something, right?
Well, that was kind of the next thing I was going to say, is like find some distractions, because running can be tough. You know, you are kind of getting out there, and if you're not used to it, it can be like focusing on how badly you feel. But I mean, I don't know about you, but I love technology. So to like give yourself a carrot, like say, all right, if I run 3 days this week, I'm going to go buy myself like a really new watch or some cool running gear or something that will give you that carrot to get out there and run. So I guess the point is like find a distraction to get you out the door.
Love that.
So, and set small goals. You know, your first week, just run like 1 or 2 days. The next week, run like 3 days. Or like for your first month, say you're just going to run like a total of 6 days. They can be small goals. Just, you know, try and have like a format or a plan that you can check those boxes off.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you think goals, and we'll talk about this too, is changing up your routine and that kind of thing, but when you're just getting started, can you start walking and incorporate running? Is it good to do that just so you're like literally just getting outside to get started?
Well, and so actually you're really good at like leading to the next thing. So, I mean, our whole thing is, even if you feel like you don't have enough time to do it, like even 20 minutes is better than no time at all. And I'm a big believer in the run-walk method, because some people need those mental breaks. And even if you say, I'm going to run to like that next stop sign, or I'm going to run to that next telephone pole, and then I'm going to walk. And then each time you do it, you know, kind of stretch that out a little bit longer, but it will help you adapt to your new training plan. It will help you with those small goals, and it will it will help keep the injuries down too, because you're not just going to go out there and do something that you have never done before, but will train your body to get to those longer distances.
Yeah. It's probably better conditioning wise too.
Yeah. And so some people actually run faster with the run-walk method than if they run the whole time.
Oh.
So, and we see a lot of that, and particularly like in the marathon. So when we do the marathon here in Providence, there is a part that there's a big steep hill, and it's over by Monroe Dairy, if anybody knows where it is.
Okay.
And so in the marathon, that's mile 22, and everybody's like, well, that's the worst part. And my advice to them is always, walk up that hill, you know, like, because you're just going to waste so much more energy, like, trying to run up it, and it's such a short, steep hill. Just run up it, you'll feel better, and then you can go the rest of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Get your gas back up.
And you're just like, all right, now I can go.
That's what I know. When I've only done one half marathon before, and eventually I hope someday that I can do a marathon. But I set my goal. Like my plan was to walk the hills and then run the rest of the way. And and walk through the water stations.
Yep.
So every water station I walked through, and every hill there was, I walked it. And I did that, I accomplished it, and I felt good.
Yep. There's a lot of people that run, walk either a 5K or a half marathon or even a full marathon. And again, like, their overall time might be faster than if they were to run the whole thing, because they are running the running parts faster than they would have run the whole thing.
That makes sense.
I'm all for it. I think it's a great idea.
Well, but too, then you feel more invigorated and rested and accomplished. Maybe, I don't know. It depends on each individual person. So the point is, do what feels right for you and your body.
Correct. Yes.
Set your running goals, your plan. So I think that's important too. And like you said, too, because of injury, because of the weather, because there can be all these factors. So doing what's right for you is super important. And it can help when you're with a buddy or you're using technology, that kind of thing. It's all supposed to be uplifting, not bring you down.
Exactly. It's supposed to give you like this great feeling of euphoria. And it goes back to, like, you'll always feel better if you do even that 20 minutes than if you don't do anything at all. So I guarantee you'll feel better if you get yourself out the door.
Yes. And 20 minutes may sound like a long time, but it can go by fast.
It goes by really fast.
Okay.
But a lot of running is like fighting that mental battle and figuring out what works for you, whether it's going to be a run-walk thing. I think a lot of people get nervous too, like, am I going to be the last person in the race? Am I going to look funny? Is everything going to jiggle when I run?
Yeah.
But I think people have to kind of get over that mental part, because, there will be a last person, but it's, generally it's not one last person. Generally there's a bunch of last people, so don't feel badly about that. And there's lots of people that get out there and run, and just everybody's out there doing their own thing. You only have to worry about your internal, how you're going to feel, and you will feel better after you run. I guarantee it, promise it.
I think it's better whatever's going on, at least you did it, rather than that person who didn't do it.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. So even if you're just out there for 20 minutes, my recommendation is do like a quality type of workout.
Okay.
So if you're going to go out and you only have 20 minutes, maybe you have been running a little bit, but you only have like this little bit of time, go like do a speed workout or go run some hills. Because you'll actually get a lot of benefit from those types of workouts in a shorter amount of time than if you were just going to go out and run for like a half an hour and 45 minutes. So, and again, it goes back to that mental battle, because if you're going out and you're running a hill, like, I'm going to run up this hill and then I'll walk down it. I'm going to run up, and that's a great workout. It's actually really good for all of you, as you get older and certain muscles. It's a really good strength workout, but it helps with that short distance. Just run up, walk down.
Okay. So if you only have a limited amount of time, and there's been a lot of research on that too, like small individual workouts, like HIIT workouts. So if you have a short amount of time and you're working on these running goals, maybe if you only have 20 minutes, just pack it all into that 20 minutes.
Right. So that's a good term, the HIIT term.
Yeah.
So what that is a high intensity threshold type of workout. So what that means is you're doing a short distance, but you're raising your heart rate that much more, as opposed to like a aerobic workout or an anaerobic workout, which is, it's all like your heart rate type of level. But you're right, so short distance, HIIT, high threshold, high heart rate, burns a lot of calories.
So that can be beneficial. Okay, so if we're looking at maybe just getting over that, because it can be so tough, and winter here has been kind of all over the place. It is New England after all.
Yes.
So if we're looking at just getting over that mental intimidation, what are some good ways we can get over that in winter? We saw torrential rain yesterday.
Yeah.
We had snow one day. It was 60 degrees another day. If we're really trying to overcome winter weather, whatever it is, what are some good ways we can do that, just getting over the mental intimidation and just getting through winter when we're running in New England?
That's a really good point, because running in New England, you'll see that we're going to have a whole day of rain, but we're going to have a whole day of 60 degrees.
Yeah.
So usually my normal running schedule is I'll run 3 to 4 days a week, and then on the other 3 to 4 days a week, I will do something else. So at the beginning of every week, I look at a weather forecast, I'm like, well, it's going to rain on Sunday. Like, And normally, like, my long run is on Sunday, but this week it was beautiful on Saturday. So I'm like, well, I'm just gonna do my long run today, and tomorrow I'm gonna like sit on my bike in my basement. So that's how I plan out what I'm gonna do on what days is definitely based on the weather.
Perfect. And it could all change very well within a matter of an hour.
Right.
So
believe me, when I was on my run on Saturday, it started raining. I was like, all right, so maybe we're gonna go for 8 instead of 10 today.
Maybe this long one will be a little less long.
That's right.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about just that mental motivation and trying to kind of get over some of those obstacles, because it can be pretty intimidating, and just doing mind over matter. We talked about it a little bit last time, just whether it's using a friend to get with you, or maybe like some podcasts, that kind of stuff. Do you have any other inspirational ideas to help you, just whether it's winter weather or whatever it is, to help you stay inspired when you're setting those running goals and achieving them?
Right. I do think like your plan is really the best thing you're going to do for achieving those goals, because again, you can tailor it based on the weather for the week too. So if you say like, my goal this week is to run 20 miles, and I'm going to get there even though it's going to snow on this day or it's going to rain on this day, I'm going to still fit those in based on what the weather is going to be, or even what your schedule is going to be. Like, I think for most people, they will go out and run in bad weather if that's all that's all the time they have. And I always feel like if I go out and run in like some really badass weather, then I'm gonna feel like that much more badass afterwards. But you do, I'll go out and I'll run on a snowstorm, and I'll see so many people out there too, and it's good like mental toughness. And if you're gonna train for a race in particular, those really hard runs are gonna bring you to like those final miles of your road race, because of all that hard training that was either like bad rain or bad snow. And I think the important thing too is just to be safe.
Yeah. So
when it does snow, like I tend to run on back roads, because then I don't have to worry about like the sidewalks aren't plowed and I have to run down the middle of the road. I always feel like a good, and I think I say this a lot, is like you need like retail therapy too to help you get through it. So again, if you really want to like invest in like a really good hat or like a buff or something that's gonna make you want to like not only be warmer, but then you look cool too. Yeah. So that helps you get out there.
I would say, I do, and I understand where you're coming from when you're saying this, that getting that mental toughness, it does make me nervous when I do see it, but I have to understand that they know what they're doing, because it is their body. I do get nervous when I see people running on icy streets or snowy streets. It does make me incredibly nervous, because injuries are miserable. Yeah. And so I have to trust that they know what they're doing with their body.
Well, there is a really good thing that's out there. It's called Yak Tracks, and you don't need special shoes for them, and I think they're like $25, and you just kind of put them on your own running sneakers, and they have like springs on them. That's cool. So they help people grip this. They're not like a snowshoe, because they're just on your sneaker, but they help grip the snow and the ice, and I know a lot of people run in those faithfully if the weather's even, because you don't really feel them on bare pavement, but they're amazing for snow and for ice.
Okay, so if that's what you're looking to do and you want to be out there training when the weather's a little bit difficult, there are more things, retail therapy, that you can get your hands on. Yep. So you can prepare, because yeah, that's the thing, like, you know, if you're out doing races, you don't know what conditions could be like on that race, so you want to have prepared for them.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about maintaining this habit. So you've established your goals, you're working through it, you're overcoming these obstacles, whether they're mental or physical. Mm-hmm. Talk to me a little bit about how we can maintain the habit, because, you know, we're getting through all this, but how do we keep it consistent? How do we keep going throughout the rest of the year?
Right. So, I mean, I'm a race director. I'm going to tell you to sign up for a race, right? But not just you, like bring a friend to help you sign up for that race, because then you guys are kind of in it together, and you may not always have the chance to run together, but you can kind of talk about what hurts or what's working for you, or you just have like this shared experience. And it's not only going to be just in the training, but it's going to be in race day. So, you know, if you have some nerves about, you know, where do I park, or how do I get to the start line, that person will be with you too. And it will, I mean, we see such joy at finish lines. It's amazing. And all these people have like these hugs and these tears and like marriage proposals. Like I do feel like it's a reward for all the work that you're putting in, because, you know, you're going to get a medal, you're going to get a t-shirt, you're going to get some tangible evidence that you have done the work, and you get to wear that t-shirt or you get to hang that medal, and everybody knows that you've committed to this program and that you've accomplished this goal. So the other thing that we've been trying to do is, as a whole, trying to get Providence to be like this healthier lifestyle. So we're working with like the mayor's office, the sports commission, Tufts Health Plan actually, and we're doing like this corporate fit challenge. And what it is, I mean, you don't even have to sign up for a race if you don't want to, but just get your coworkers, you know, because there is a lot of employee benefits to getting outside and to getting exercise and de-stressing with running. But get your coworkers to join you in some of these things. Like go out and run on your lunch or meet them before work because you guys have the same schedule. You know, you work the same hours. You can find running paths around your area, or you can meet them before or after work and before you even go home, so you don't even have that excuse that, oh, I got home and I don't feel like going back out type of thing. So that's one of the things that we're trying to do to get everybody in Providence kind of healthier.
Healthier, out the door, active, get your friends involved, get people up and running. And we've talked about this before, but kind of hammering that home, the importance of strength training. So even though you want to be a runner, you set these running goals, but it shouldn't always be outrunning. You shouldn't necessarily, to be a better runner, it's not about running 7 days a week.
Exactly. So even though you've heard us talk a lot about running only 3 or 4 days a week and doing other things, you have to do yoga, you have to strength train, you have to work those muscles so they're not always being overused, but when you do use them, they have the proper strength, the proper flexibility, and it will help you prevent injuries. And it will help keep your interest in running peaked because you're not running 6 or 7 days a week or 5 or 6 days a week. Like today I'm going to run and I don't love it, but tomorrow I'm going to do yoga, which I do love, but then the next day I'm going to go back to running. Or the next day I'm going to swim. And all these things together will make you healthier and it will prevent the injuries and keep your interest in all of them. So I do feel like you need a well-rounded workout program in order to be successful at any one of them.
I think that's an excellent approach to life. And also you can find friends, you can find people who are interested in similar things, and you have a lot to talk about, right?
Exactly, yeah.
You can definitely find people who are interested in a lot of different things, and maybe they can help you become more interested in other things.
And they can give you like some tips too about how to stay healthy and again where they're feeling. And if your friend is starting to feel something, you say, all right, we're gonna go to yoga tomorrow.
Oh, I have something that will help stretch you out, or oh, I know this person who can help give you a massage, or I know this stretch that really works out, and you'll be like, I've never seen that before.
Exactly, yeah. No, it does. And some things work for different people. So the more conversations you have, the more you'll learn and the more you'll try different things that may or may not work for you. But there's no one right way to do any of it, but there's no one wrong way either. Just try it all and see what, eventually you'll tweak it to find what is going to be the most successful for you and your body.
I think that's awesome. So hopefully Susan has helped you maybe either start to set some running goals for 2018 or hopefully reinvigorate you just a little bit as you get going on those running goals. So the Providence race coming up is April, right?
Nope, Newport's in April.
Newport's April.
Providence is May 6th.
Providence May 6th. So, and you said last time that you were in here that people start signing up for marathons without any training at all. So it's not too late, right?
It's not too late, no.
It's not too late. So maybe if that's on your bucket list, you can start your training now. Hopefully we've provided you some motivation, inspiration, and help you start to maintain your fitness for 2018. So Susan, thank you so much. We're just going to take a quick pause as we get ready here for our next guest on Go Local Live. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me here on Go Local Live in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Molly O'Brien. I'd like to say hello and welcome to Cranston country singer-songwriter Mickey Lamantia. Mickey, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us today. It's a true pleasure to have you with us. You recently just released Every Bad Habit, your first full-length album. Doing pretty well so far. How's it feel?
Feels good. Feels good. Things are happening. The album did very well when we released it, and it's still selling and doing good. So
and it sounds pretty good. I was listening to it today. I'm a country music fan. Talk to us a little bit about your roots, because you've been going at this a while. People might know you, recognize you not only from being around Rhode Island, but watching you on social media, so we'll get into all that. But talk to us just a little about your roots in country music.
Well, I started playing probably when I was single digits, and then I got into playing when I was a teen, following my uncle around the bars in Warwick and Cranston or wherever in Rhode Island. So he was big into playing outlaw country music, Waylon, George, and all that stuff. So I kind of followed and picked up what he was doing.
And went from there.
Went from there, and then when I was about 19, I was singing a karaoke bar. It was a new thing. I sang a Randy Travis song, and I ended up singing at the Warwick tent for Willie Nelson like about 3 weeks after that, and did a small tour with Willie from there. And, so.
What was that experience like?
That was great. I mean, 4 shows with Willie Nelson and hanging out with the band that was one of the coolest things. So.
I mean, to be able to to go up and snag a picture with Willie Nelson has to be pretty cool, but to be on tour with Willie Nelson, that had to feel pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it was awesome. And even like 6 years after that happened, I went to see Willie play again, and Pootie was a stage manager, brought me up on the back of the stage and let me watch from there, and that's after I had gotten away from chasing the dream back then.
So you're back in it, maybe chasing the dream just a little bit, doing all right.
Both feet in, back in chasing it, yeah.
All right, talk to us a little bit about the album. The music really hits home, like you said, outlaw country music. Talk to us a little bit about some of the music, not necessarily the way that popular country music is going these days.
Well, country music today is very pop country.
Yeah.
I'm probably anti-pop country. But it's more about the music and the songwriting and the craft of it. And, the record labels down in Nashville pretty much are catering to this pop country because they're making a quick dollar off it, and they're basically advertising to the young female audience. But I think the turn's coming where people want some more depth to the songs and some realness to it, and instead of just the bubblegum stuff that they're putting out, they really want some substance to the songs. So I think country music's coming back.
And you're making this music yourself. You have real lyrics, you have the real sound, you have the real country, like it's real. You have a real message behind it. And you did this independently, which I always think is pretty fantastic. Talk to us about going down to Nashville. It was my understanding, I did some reading, that you had a pretty good producer behind you when you went down and recorded the album. Talk to us about this and how it all went down.
Well, the first time I went to Nashville, I really probably got robbed. So I probably spent $8,000 to make a 5-song
for your EP. Yeah.
And then I learned, that was when I wrote the song with Dash, and I came back from that, and I did some homework on who I wanted for a producer, and I had given 2 choices. I would like to work with Bill McDermott or Dave Cobb, and I got in with Bill, and the rest is history. We did Outlaw Life first time, and he did this album here, Every Bad Habit, and he's worked with John Michael Montgomery and I think George Strait and a few other people, and I'll never change if I don't have to.
Talk to us about what it's like to be an independent musician, being able to put out your own music, being able to utilize, whether it's streaming music services, being able to utilize social media, and being able to reach out to your fans directly.
Well, for me, like the social media aspect of it has been big because where I'm located in the country. So I have a full-time job. I work as a correctional officer for the past 20 years up at the Rhode Island State Prison. And this allows me to get around the country without having to go out every weekend and tour and do all that stuff, which is the way I would love to do it. But with the 2 kids, I won't put them at risk by chasing my dream unless it's kind of secure. And I think we're getting to that point. But so social media has been big for me, and it just helps me get all over the country pretty much. So it kind of took off like that.
Yeah, good for you. When I think of, I don't know if you're familiar with Ed Sheeran, but you might not recognize that name. Some of you out there might recognize his name. But that's kind of how he started. Is he was like, all right, forget you, record labels. I'm gonna do this myself. And people picked up his music, and now he's out there doing great things. If you have a talent, you're good.
Well,
good at what you do.
I was always told if you can write songs, they can't keep you out of Nashville, and so I always worked at that craft. And you know, to be able to, like, so on the last album, I wrote 9 out of the 10 songs by myself with no co-writers or anything. So, and then on the third one, I try to pick a song from each album to have a guy like Joe Doyle, who wrote 23rd Psalm on the first album, and then Tony Stampley wrote When I Get on a Roll, and he's had 17 cuts for Hank Williams Jr. So I try to keep it where I can always get to the songwriters, but you know, I try to do it myself too at the same time.
Have you had people like look at what you're doing and ask for feedback, or are you just doing your own thing?
Oh, I've had, I mean, I get countless maybe independent artists trying to do the same thing, ask me what I'm doing, or maybe for some advice on, you know, on what my social media technique is, or whatever you want to call it. But, you know, but I think there's bigger people looking at what we're doing. I mean, for not leaving my basement, I got 36,000 people following me. So, you know, imagine if we did this on the road in a bus, you know, it'd probably blow up.
So we'll just have to wait and see. Talk to me a little bit about, let's go back to that. So I want to talk about some of your lyrics. I want to talk about some of your inspiration for that. And I think maybe we do need to get into what you do, because you do have a full-time job. You do have a full day job alongside of from maybe your biggest job of all. You have a family. You are a dad. Let's talk about what you do for a living and if that does provide you with some of your lyrics and some outlet.
It definitely does. Like I was, you know, I've had a few articles in the Boston Globe and the Journal recently, and I got to be careful what I say, because
totally fine by me.
Some of it was taken out of context and when I did the Journal, but
I do not want to take you out of context.
You're behind 4 gray walls. I mean, it's probably one of the toughest jobs I would think that anybody would have to work. You have to learn to adapt to telling people what to do, whether they're bigger than you, smaller than you, they outnumber you. So all the credit to my brothers and sisters that do that job. But yeah, I draw lyrics from that, because being behind them walls, whether you live there or you work there, is probably the loneliest place to be when you're inside them walls. So I definitely can draw from what some of them people are going through and some of the things that I've went through and mesh them together.
Good for you. I can see how being able to take what you do and being able to process your feelings and channeling that into music can be both rewarding but also very lonely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the best songwriters in the world were lonely people, and you know, maybe a little sad now and then, or angry, I don't know, but they had feelings and they learned how to put them in songs, you know.
Do you feel like you're connecting with people here in Rhode Island through your music, not just nationwide, and maybe that Nashville where you think country music might be popular?
It's starting to.
Yeah.
I think this is probably the toughest place to get off the ground with country music. Every bar you play, whether or not I play at PJ's and the whiskey distillery down where my whiskey sponsor is Sons of Liberty Whiskey, but it seems each time you go into a bar around here, they might think you're good right off the rip, but you have to win every audience around here. Like, whereas if I go down south and start singing, do a little Hank Jr. or some of my stuff, they recognize it right away and they like it. I mean, it's a different atmosphere down south.
Yeah.
But we want to make it like that up north. So.
Talk to us just a little bit about the atmosphere being in Rhode Island. Do you feel Rhode Island is such a great community, just a supportive community, like, oh, hey, I know him, I went to school with him, like, oh, I walked his dog before, whatever it is. Do you feel like now that people have seen you, have read about you, like saw a post on social media, do you feel like you're getting a supportive community here?
Oh, definitely. I think.
Or they buy Sons of Liberty whiskey, so they're like, oh yeah, totally.
We had 400 people at the CD release party on Friday night down at Sons of Liberty Whiskey Distillery. That afternoon, or the day before that, I walked into with Wiener Ram, you know where they sell the wieners, right? That's a big Iran thing. And I seen the Speaker of the House there, and he recognized me, and we talked, and
cool.
So everybody's kind of known, starting to pick it up, what's happening.
Yeah.
The prison's been great. Director Matt Kettle has been great, letting me do these interviews where we're not really supposed to talk to the media if job related, or and some of that comes up in these interviews, and especially big shout out to Ripco, because they are kind of being the in-between for me. So everybody's starting to take notice, and hopefully it goes to where I think it's going to go, and I can quit and go do this full time. No offense to
no offense
the prison, but
Hey, and
20 years is enough.
well, I think you're being a good spokesperson though, on everybody's behalf, right? Like you're doing.
Well, listen, I mean, when you're behind, like I said, when you work in the prison,
Yeah.
whether anyone, those are your brothers and sisters. When stuff happens, they're the ones who have your back. And whether I leave there and become successful in music or not, they're always going to be that. And they've treated me like gold since I've been doing this. And it kind of shocks me that they've come together like that. So there had to be 100 of them at the party the other night, which was great. So
That's pretty cool. I mean, it's your family away from your family, and
Exactly.
the fact that you can be supported to be able to pursue something that I'm not sure if you've always wanted to do it, but if you have, you wanted to do it this much.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat to be able to have that.
if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not, like I told you earlier, I don't get overexcited about it. So I mean, I'm good working this 40-hour job, take care of my family, or if I get a chance to go play music for a living, I'll be good with that too. So.
It's an alright attitude to have. The music's good. Your voice is good. Your sound's
Thank
good. So I mean, I like it. I think a couple other, maybe million and a half people like it. You did have a video released on your Facebook page, How Do I Say Goodbye? Over 1.5 million views. It was shared over 25,000 times on Facebook. So that's pretty good numbers on social media. You said other people have kind of asked you about your social media strategy, that kind of thing. But you are getting this, whether you do it full time or not full time, and try not to get excited about it. But that has to make you feel good to get that kind of attention, to know that people are out there listening.
Oh, it definitely does. I mean, that song right there has a lot of meaning too, and to have it hit and I think it's up at like 1.6, almost 1.7 now, and that's the second one I've had over 1 million views. The other one's alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. We might not talk about that stuff,
Okay.
but that's the second one. So.
But it's getting up there. You also had just recently Rolling Stone magazine named you one of the top 10 country artists to watch in 2018. How did that make you feel when you saw that?
Oh, I mean, obviously you feel great, Rolling Stone, so just like the Dr. Hook song. But I haven't made it yet, so, but it's good to be in there, and it got me a lot of attention. From that was like a snowball effect. Boston Globe called, Providence Journal called, you guys called, so it's definitely a great advertising piece going forward.
It's something you can say, hey, look, I was in this, pick me up.
Yeah, if nothing
Right.
else happens, I was in Rolling Stone Country.
There you go. Something else. Talk to us a little bit about what comes up from here on. It's kind of been this thing. You had some great build up. 2016 released the EP, sounded great. Build up some more momentum in 2017. Here we are, just a couple months into 2018, and like you said, the Rolling Stone kind of kept its snowball going. What comes up next?
I think next is I gotta come to a decision whether I'm gonna go on the road and do this independently, or am I gonna sit back and wait for a record label to come along and let me have creative freedom, which that's probably not going to happen, where they come along and give me, all right, we're going to take your album and we're going to push it, because that would be great for me, but that would be great for any artist. But to have that creative freedom, if they tell you can't sing your songs, then it's not worth it to me. I would rather just keep doing what I'm doing right here, and I would never want to give that up. So those are the next steps, but right now I'm just doing baby steps. So this weekend I'll be going to Charleston, South Carolina to play a show with Greg Piedmont and the Piedmont Boys at the Windjammer in Charlestown, and I'm excited about going down there to do that. That's going to be fun. So we take off Thursday for that.
Good for you.
And 2 months after that, we got Tumbleweed in Kansas City. I'll be playing with Marty Stewart and Cody Johnson, Shooter Jennings, to name a few. So my buddy Dallas Moore. So shows are coming. Sometimes I got to turn them down. So Bike Week called, and I turned that down to play the stage with David Allen Coe. But sometimes I can't do it. Got kids, so.
Sounds like a pretty decent time. Good couple shows coming up. What do your kids think of your music? Do you sing for them?
Yeah, they come down. So I get this thing called Whiskey Wednesday, and I get into it about 8:30, and at 9:30 they come in. My son will give me a dabs from the side, and my daughter climbs on the chair and gives me a big kiss and tells everybody good night. And we've been averaging about 30,000 views on the last 3 Wednesdays. So she's a big hit, obviously, when she comes down and does that. And it's pretty awesome. So they love it. My son just texted me. He said my teacher saw the article in the paper. You know, it's cool. So hopefully they think I'm cool. But they do like some pop country. We're not gonna lie about that. But so sometimes I gotta let it go on in the car. But
You're like, oh, fine.
yeah.
Maybe just at the point where you're like, oh, you're still listening to me and being involved in the car and not putting your headphones in.
There's room for both in this world. So if I think that way, there's room in the car. I guess maybe for both. Maybe a tenth of it or something.
They're not face down in their phone, just totally not paying attention to you yet.
No. But they know all the words to my songs, so I tell them they can't really sing some of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They can't sing all of the words.
Yeah, they learned them all on the way back from Nashville.
That's cool. Well, it's nice to be able to have the support of your family. Do they ever ask you for requests of anything else?
My family?
Yeah.
My kids? Or?
Yeah. They
No.
maybe they hear like some of your old school, because I'm sure like some of your other music influences. Do they ever ask you for requests of other stuff? Maybe not pop country, but other like older songs. Or maybe.
No, I think that they listen to pretty much. They're very wide variant. Like my daughter loves Taylor Swift, which is pretty cool because Taylor Swift lives in Rhode Island, right? So that's a cool thing, and I don't mind that. I mean, everybody has to go their own direction. And I'm just lucky enough to follow mine, so I would never knock the kids for chasing whatever they want to chase. You know, I've been to a Kenny Chesney concert. I'm not gonna lie, so.
They're fun.
But Kenny's not really pop country. He's like beach music. That's an exception.
He's Kenny Chesney.
He's awesome.
He's
cool.
Yeah, he's Kenny Chesney. Mickey, it's been a blast chatting with you here today. Thank you so much for coming on Go Local Live. Hopefully you'll come back. Hopefully you'll make some time for us in this busy world of yours to come back and hang out with us a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to shout out real quick to Sons of Liberty Whiskey and to all the MS7.
Mike, thank you.
Mike Rapucci. Yep, he said he was on here.
Yeah, he's great.
And all the guys watching that are going to watch later on too. Without you guys supporting Whiskey Wednesdays, this is not happening. So I appreciate it.
It's fun. Congratulations to you, all your hard work. Continued success to you.
Thank you.
We're wrapping up here on Go Local Live, the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Molly O'Brien. Business Monday kicks off here in just a few moments, so hang tight with us. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.